Okay, it's Tuesday the 9th, and heading off to work again. Looks like it might be a cloudy day, a little bit, hopefully keep it a little bit cooler. That'll be nice. So I watched a little bit of Daniel Pipes yesterday, and he's a historian at the Middle East Forum. Anyway, a little bit too ultra pro-Israel, I would say. On the one hand, he said, oh, well, why do politicians bother about the Middle East conflict, because it's such a small conflict comparatively. And then later he goes on to say that he believes the conflict is a war, and in war there's winners and losers. So on the one hand he says, oh well, why do politicians bother about such a small thing? And then in the next sentence he portrays that in his mind it's the biggest thing in the world. So that's a little bit dishonest, I think. I will say that the fact that Israel is generally speaking a democracy, although a true democracy isn't one where you value one religion over another per se. But on the other hand, Islam has problems even within a democracy, because the Islamic people will choose Islam within their democracy, and that's when democracy comes to die. Okay, or at least be put under wraps. Maybe not die, but put under wraps until it can be freed by maybe a coup or something like happened in Egypt recently, right? So to have a democracy, you have to have sort of kind of an underlying foundation of Enlightenment values. And Islam never was forced to go through a reformation and enlightenment. Or maybe it's going through one now. I guess, when you examine what's happening, and even in places like Iran, you can kind of tell how liberated an Islamic country is by how much hair the women show. And the more the women have their hair covered, the less free a given Islamic country is. There's an inverse relationship between level of freedom and how much hair a woman gets to show in an Islamic country. So, when people say, oh, it's not about the veil is just a little tiny thing. Yeah. Well, I think it's the opposite. It is all about the veil, and the burqa, and the niqab, and the hijab, and the burqa. Okay? And whether your girl children can go to school, and whether boys are taught that they have to be afraid of sex, afraid of their own sexuality, afraid of female sexuality, afraid of human sexuality. Both the men and the women are taught that. Gotta hide it. Hide it all. HIDE. So... So that's that. And then I was thinking a little bit more about group dynamics and whatnot. And for example, there in Salt Lake there used to be 2 atheist groups. Not atheist groups. There used to be 2 pet bird club groups. And then one got driven into the ground by a controlling, very acerbic president. And the other one, flourished and has continued to some extent. Although they're not perfect, but... And then with regard to the, atheist groups, I think I mentioned this before, that in Portland there was one that was called Beaverton Atheists, and then they got their meetup dues taken over by Center for Inquiry. Meanwhile, that group was previously headed up, before the current leader, it was previously headed up by a former preacher guy, and then another guy decided, the preacher guy is too controlling, and so he founded this other group that is centered around the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Okay? And I think I kind of preferred the Flying Spaghetti Monster group. It was a little more open-ended. And then in Utah, we have different groups and different politics and different kind of shenanigans in the past. For example, a long-standing group had its name taken over by this transvestite woman, and then she went out, left town. So this long-standing group who met once a month at a restaurant, they had to change their name as a result. And then another group started up, and then the other group became a little bit more popular, and then yet another group was just kind of unaffiliated with any official group, and they were meeting every Thursday at a coffee shop. And then the newer, slightly more popular group took over those, and then the older group that was meeting once a month at a restaurant got absorbed into the newer group and essentially kind of simultaneously dissolved and then taken over. And part of the taking over process involved moving the meetings away from Sizzler to another place. So, and now we have the situation where, I might start a group maybe. We'll see. But anyway, just goes to show that, I guess, and it's almost like, you examine how things happen in religions, and similar things happen. So I guess humans are naturally formed groups, and if you don't like how one group operates, or you can find another. That's what happens. And I don't think that there just has to be one group about any certain topic in Salt Lake. Okay, there doesn't have to be just one bird club. There doesn't have to be just one atheist group. So, anyway, those are my thoughts for today. Okay, talk to you later.